As Americans expand their palates, many are beginning to discover new kinds of fish to eat. It is beneficial in more ways than one. New tastes, new ways to keep fisheries stocked, and the best way to support local fishermen. Along the forefront of this movement is a team of anglers and chefs in Charleston, South Carolina. That's where we went to get an up-close look at the future of fishing and what ends up on your plate.
When I first got to Charleston, every menu had grouper, snapper, salmon, even though it's not from here. But there weren't that many species that people were familiar with.
Mike Latta first opened Fig in Charleston, South Carolina in 2003. It has since won 3 James Beard Awards and is considered one of the top restaurants in the world. Latta followed Fig with The Ordinary, which features an all-seafood menu.
Nobody was talking about seafood, and here we are on the coast.
This is Charleston. How is it possible people weren't talking about seafood?
I think everybody kind of pays attention to what's trending, and nationally, nose-to-tail cooking was very popular for a decade, getting in whole hogs and learning how to break them down. And I just think for some reason, that was where everybody's attention was turned. Seafood was still popular in Charleston, but you know, we really weren't that connected to the people producing it.
Latta has dedicated his work to staying as close as he can to the seafood he serves. What is this?
This is a yellowfin tuna. Yeah.
Here, Captain Mark Marhefka's boat just brought in a yellowfin tuna.
You want to try some?
Yeah.
It doesn't get any fresher than this, sliced and served just off the dock.
The top of the loin right here is, for me, the best raw stuff.
Heck yeah.
To it?
Oh yeah. Yum.
It's great, right? Like the texture's really nice.
Very good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Tuna is well known. Other fish are not.
Anytime we're expecting or demanding from the ocean the same 5 or 6 species, we're not acknowledging the diversity of the species that are coming up in a fisherman's net.
Conservationists like Amy McCown, who we met aboard a small independent shrimp boat, are trying to turn the tide.
There's so many underutilized species that are a part of our ecosystem and can be relied on as a sustainable source of protein.
McCown works for Good Catch, a nonprofit that connects restaurants with local fishermen. That means fishermen being open to different catches. It means people, when they're at restaurants, being open to eating different fish.
Absolutely. Fishermen are waiting. They are ready for people to say, yeah, I want to eat scup. Or a few years ago here in Charleston, it was wreckfish. I mean, there are these species out there, and fishermen are just waiting for them to actually be demanded enough that they bring value back at the dock.
McCown says looking local and in season is key. Ideally, consumers should also be able to find out where their fish was caught, how, and by whom. 99% of people who are buying fish at their local market aren't getting that information.
You're right. What we see when people go into the grocery stores, they go to the fruit section, they know they want no GMOs, then they want organics. When they go to the beef and eggs, they want grass-fed, free range. When they go to the seafood counter, they say, all right, what's on sale? And so how do we spread those values of the other areas of the market into the seafood counter? And that is through having conversations like this.
Why hasn't that conversation reached the seafood counter yet?
I think it's because seafood and fisheries is just so complex.
In Charleston, progress is being made. Now, in Latta's restaurants, fish most of us haven't heard of are hits.
We can sell amberjack, we can sell porgy, sheep's head, rudderfish. There's a host of species that you would never have seen on a menu 20 years ago that you do now. And the good thing is that people are much more adventurous.
In his kitchen, Latta cooked us a fitting arrangement.
The good way to do it is to go to a restaurant that you trust and let them make something new for you. Okay, so this is shallow braised wreckfish, bourride. This is a hog snapper with red lime ponzu, smoked amberjack pate, and then one of my favorites is the peel and eat shrimp. These are so clean, right?
Sweet.
Yeah.
Sweet, yeah.
Fishing and fish, right, is the only wild foods that we eat. My interest in seafood cookery was born from the diversity of species that we get in on a daily, weekly basis. And to imagine my world without the pleasure of that variety of seafood, I don't know where I would find my inspiration. Anyway, so that's what we do.
To you, thank you very much.
Thanks for coming by.
Sure,
Yeah.
It was a riot. Ding.
I like that you snuck in the wine there.
It was
Yeah, I want
somewhat,
wine.
you have
had
to.
wash
I mean,
it down
it
with
accompanies the seafood. It was a fun shoot to be on. Another tip from all the folks who live down there all over is if you can avoid eating imported fish and seafood, do it. Nothing against other oceans around the world, but the regulations are far less stringent in other parts of the world. You're also freezing them and transporting them. 90% of the shrimp that gets served in the U.S. is imported. 90%.
Interesting.
And there's
well,
such
a lot
great
of it's
shrimp being
frozen
cut.
shrimp, too.
Correct.
Yeah.
What's so hard about seafood, too, is it's just more expensive. So, you know, when you do go to the counter, you're looking for the cheapest price, but, you know, we all have to educate ourselves.
The first and easiest thing to ask for is just what's local.
Right.
If something is local. Yeah.
Really good point.